Right, here we are on next Saturday Night Live with special guest Alex.
Hello.
Hello, Alex. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing really well aside from rushing and all of this.
No big deal. Nobody's in a rush. The only time we got is now.
Yes, yes, true.
So, you're in what, Peru?
Yes, um I currently live in Peru since 2.5 years ago. And actually no, a bit more. In November it'll be 3.
What
And
time is it there now?
right now it's just 1 hour behind Toronto,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's 6.
Okay, so not too much difference. Awesome. So,
Yeah.
maybe you
Where
want
do
to share a little bit about your background, how you grew up and stuff, diet, what made you go into a healthier lifestyle, how you found MasterFast, stuff like that.
Okay, so that's going to be a long story. My friends always joke that if you ask me the time, I will end up telling you my life story. So this is perfect. Um,
We got time.
yeah. Um, so my background is Russian. So in terms of diet, that's a lot of butter, bread, grains as well. But buckwheat is a false grain, supposedly not so bad. But yeah, and basically, since being very thin, seems like all my life, um, my family always noted that and made sure that I ate a lot. So basically, I couldn't leave the table until I finished everything, which was very difficult because I had to stuff things. And um, so in the end, well, yeah, we ended up moving to, actually, we were in the USSR in Tajikistan, technically. So from there, we moved to Israel, from Israel to Canada. So like about the same time, like 11, then 12 years. And then on my own choice, um, out of a journey that included ayahuasca. Like I didn't believe in like spirit or anything before then. And then afterwards, I couldn't do anything about myself. And I just felt I need to go. I've never been to where I'm living. Not that part in Peru. I visited the jungle in the capital and I came back. But my friend, she remained in the Cusco region. So she sent me photos and told me how it is. And I just felt this is my home. This is what I have to do. So I left everything, even, and like slowly things started opening up in a way that me to just be in spirit, because after ayahuasca I started sort of getting more um, into, I guess for the lack of a better word, just spiritual aspects. For example, Muji, listening to him, that was thanks to Eugene and those guys. I heard and I saw the photos of you and Rana visiting them. They were amazing. As soon as it, it was like we went to the same high school, but we went separate ways. So
Oh, you know them from Russia, back home?
Toronto,
Oh, from Toronto.
yeah, Bathurst and Steeles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah, over there. No, Bathurst and Finch is,
After this,
uh,
it's not far from
yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so this was like really cool that you're really from the area. But when I found out about Masterfast, I was already here. And it was thanks to them that I found out about this. So we went to the same high school, and then later things start um, to open up for me spiritually. But I didn't quite believe, but it just like, it was kind of like on the edge, like you can see things and getting some insights and the going into it. I don't know how else to describe it. Sometimes I'm short for words. I'm
Yeah,
more of a, like, I get it intuitively.
you know
But
they're visiting Muji right now.
Is that it? I tried to message them.
Yeah, no,
And
1 month, they're there.
oh, where did you say?
In Portugal.
Oh my goodness. I was worried because I thought, oh no, they were fasting and then I don't hear anything from them. And I hope they're okay.
Yeah, they're
Thank
fine.
you. Yeah, I
They don't
messaged
got
like,
no internet.
I messaged our other friend asking about them and now you tell me. So thank you. That calms me a bit, not a bit, a lot.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Okay.
mention that. I don't know if you knew.
I didn't. Sometimes you get out of touch. Everyone's doing their own thing, but
Yeah.
then it's so beautiful to get back in touch. So anyway, so those guys, they're amazing. Um, so I just noticed little by little that that group of friends. I didn't quite speak with Eugene in high school. I didn't know his brother or Joe, um, but I was after high school. We had just mutual friends. So it was after high school. I was in college, actually finished college when I started speaking to him again. And I realized, oh my goodness, he's like, there's someone with whom I can speak a common tongue. And it was quite exciting. But it was still just over the internet. And then as soon as I found out about ayahuasca, and I felt being pulled. And honestly, why I'm mentioning ayahuasca now is because it is so similar. When I started getting into the group, I saw, oh my goodness, this is like the same things that I see in ceremony. And I suppose I should elaborate because some people may not know what ayahuasca is.
What do you mean in ceremony of ayahuasca?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's done in a ceremonial way. It's so for those who do not know, it's a a psychedelic brew that native people have made, apparently, according to native sources, for thousands of years already. And they make it out of two plants that are, I mean, the jungle is so full of so many different plants. How do they know that this plant inhibits the enzymes that digest the DMT that is found in this other plant? And when they cook it together, instead of being digested, the inhibitor allows the DMT to go from the stomach into the blood and into the brain. So
How do they know?
I know, like that's from a modern perspective. That's the
Yeah.
question.
They
I mean,
communicate with the spirit of the plants. It's the only way.
that's what they say, and I mean, when you start getting really into it, you can feel it.
Yeah.
And they're so in tune. They make when I visited the jungle, they make um, certain diets with certain plants that are potentially dangerous unless you take a certain diet with it. Like, for example, there's one that they only take the yucca root. And I don't remember the details, but it
Which
comes
root
to
was
them.
it? You cut out?
Yucca
Oh,
or
you.
yucca. Here it's called yucca. It's like white tuber,
Right.
full of starch. And so it interests me because they are so spiritual, and at the same time they do eat all the things that are not species specific, or what it seems, because from having eaten and fasted is just it fascinates me because it feels like, and now I'm back on the mini fast, like finally this week. It fascinates me how they how one can be so in touch with spirit and not follow. I guess it's just different ways and different aspects and different influences. I'm not sure. It's
Yeah.
just something that I'd like to know.
Ani just mentioned they are ancients from way back. That's why they passed down from generation to generation. Yeah, but at the beginning, somebody had to communicate with the spirit. It doesn't mean that people now cannot communicate with spirit. So there's both aspects of that.
Yeah. Hi, Connie. I just saw her message. Okay, so yeah, like one aspect that I noticed about I feel like I'm jumping from topic to topic. I have this tendency, and
Don't worry, just whatever,
okay,
whatever you let it flow.
okay, yeah. So, and I did meet a lot of people who when they were vegetarian and vegan, and myself included, interestingly, after the fast, I felt the need to accept all foods. And they said that they would accept food, like, for example, I have a friend who would accept everything. I mean, he's vegetarian, but he would accept anything that is offered to him. And he saw that in an ayahuasca vision. And I understand that, but at the same time, I feel like it's a subtle choice that you choose. Do you choose to do this? Because after the fast, I do not, and now going back into it after, like, I posted about this, how I had this big fall, and I was just, after you make one exception, you open the gate for everything. And then you overeat, or at least in my case, it was like that. And I heard that from many others as well. So it was just such an experience. And after that, I realized, it's a choice. It really is your choice in the end. And I felt like I then also posted, once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. You cannot, if it makes you feel so good and so amazing, and just intuition and everything, like, I feel glowing, I feel light. I'm back on the mini, my plan is to do 1 week on, 1 week off and see how it goes. And I'm currently on, since Monday, that would be day 5, I believe. So yes, I'm so grateful that I'm back on it. And it's so much easier after the long fast. It feels like, of course, why would I not do this? It feels incredible. And honestly, I feel like I'm flying. But anyway,
you grew up on basically a normal Russian diet and everything.
And also North American in Canada.
You moved around a bit, yeah. And
then Israeli.
Israel as well. When did you start being conscious about diet?
In Canada, it was. But the thing is, I suppose I should elaborate on that. My mother that was a gift. She always gave me a lot of fruit. So I grew up eating sometimes mono meals. For example, she had a craze for cherries. So in Canada, it was really easy to acquire after Israel, because in the north, in Russia is okay, but not so much in Israel. And then in Canada, in the summer, we would just gorge on it and then go to the bathroom, like, it. And only recently, we both discovered that not everyone does it. You know how you grow up and you assume everyone does it? Mm-hmm. So in the last visit, which I'll elaborate about as well, because we're included in the fast journey, we made a lot of reconciliation. And she, it's saying my internet connection is unstable. Am I connected?
Yeah, you cut out a little bit. I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. So, so we recently found out that, for example, I came here and I ended up marrying a Peruvian local, also spirit. It just, everything is so, when it happens, it's just like crazy without even expecting it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people here, it's ironic. They have superfoods, a lot of superfoods come from Peru, and they have so many things. Like, I'm getting jackfruit from the jungle, because Cusco is such a central point that you get a lot of food from different places and a lot of fruit. Even if it's not in season in here, or it doesn't grow here, then there's always somewhere that has it. And so I found out that they don't eat fruit here, the locals here. No. Like, almost nothing. I mean, they have their pears and apples and the local fruit when it grows here, but it's not something that they eat normally or eat a lot of. So when I initially moved in and had, I just integrated, I realized that fruit was really missing from my diet, and I started getting, one day I had like a really strong stomach pain, and my mother-in-law, that was before we married, so still not yet, but she helped me. I think she was making boiled apple, and what really, really, really helped was, as soon as I heard there's always people coming by selling fruit on like in a car or in a, like, it's a moto, like the Chinese ones, but accommodated with, like, anyway. So I just ran and got myself some peaches, and they have white peaches here that are a bit different and smaller. And I immediately felt so much better. Like that was my lesson: get fruit. And so I learned that also, not just me, like in other places as well. I mean, not just in here. A lot of people just do not grow up eating fruit. And then my mom, when she came, she told me that people look weird at her when she comes to work and eats just a ton of fruit. And that's when she found out very recently as well that people do not eat fruit. And it's so weird. And, you know, and I have a vegan friend in Canada, in Toronto as well, who is, when she, a lot of what she says is very, or she's very outspoken. So, and people she was really upset when people were talking about, how can you eat so many bananas a day? But, you know, what are you eating? Gatorade. I mean, that's not something, like, that's not a healthy drink.
It is, according to the people who make it.
Yeah. So it's interesting, the perspectives, you know, it's okay to smoke, it's okay to drink. I mean, it's not looked down upon, unless some extreme people, I mean, not extreme, but, you know, some people, they do really care about this. I mean, from the regular society. But as soon as someone eats 7 bananas, then it's extreme. Like, you're not getting your nutrition, but you are. Anyway, this is just my take and something that I noticed.
Yeah, you know my take on nutrition. No such thing as superfoods. The true superfood is the sun. No physical foods at all.
Yeah.
Get your feel. Yeah. It's all about energy in my book. These nutrition stuff, we've discussed it many times, but anyway, let's carry on. What happened to what happened? Somebody turned on their mic here. I'm getting somebody else.
Mark Martin has his mic on.
Oh, okay.
Could you please stop?
I'll mute you. That's it. Okay. Go ahead,
Thank
Alan.
you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I realize that it's still a process. I remember when I was, for example, fasting during the 45 days, that I was being told that you're going to dehydrate yourself more being in the sun. But I actually felt a lot more energized, and I did not feel as tired afterwards. So I feel, especially, anyway.
How did you find MasterFast? Through Eugene and the gang there?
Yes, thank you, Gina.
And that was when?
So I started getting in touch with them when actually seeing them in person. I don't remember when that happened, but I did visit Eugene in 2014.
Okay.
And towards the end of it, in November, is when I was off to take ayahuasca, which
that was where the ayahuasca ceremony.
It was in the States. I had to cross the border with a bunch of strangers that we met on the internet. So you had to have quite a bit of dedication. All of us did, in order to go through something relatively unknown and potentially uncomfortable. And it was right across the lake. So it was very, in that state, I like seeing Toronto. It was right on the lake, a house, and I was seeing Toronto. And at the time I was living in Hamilton, so I could see that as well. And I felt like, oh my God, what have I done? And in so many ways, it's so similar to, because in the ceremony, I thought, oh no, I went crazy because, like in the Master Fast, your fears come up so you can confront them. And I was thinking I'm going crazy, and I'm thinking, no, I did this to myself. I did not just stumble upon it. It was extremely deliberate. I paid for it. I found it. I looked for it. And I went across the border with a bunch of strangers. And now I'm here. What am I going to explain to my family? What are they going to think? And you know what? And everyone says that. As soon as you accept your fear, it goes away. So funny enough, as soon as I said, well, you know what? If I'm crazy, then what can I do? I guess I won't have to pay rent since I'll be in a mental institution. And it went away. Like immediately. And I saw so many things as well about myself and how I remember seeing a vision of like the sarcophagus they put around Chernobyl, like the closest thing that I can describe it as, like the building they put to cover it, and knowing that underneath it is all the rubble of myself, that I just covered it to like it doesn't exist, and it was so like desolate. It was in a desert, and I realized, oh my goodness, I have so many things that I am ignoring about myself, and it became a process of confronting this. And I think Ashley has her microphone on.
Somebody does, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'll mute it. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, it was another thing that I found that is very, very similar to the Master Fast is how you need to fast. First of all, you don't have to, but it is preferable that you fast, because if you eat something beforehand, it's very likely that you will vomit it. And it's not like the ayahuasca vomit or like fluids. It's just, the smell of food being vomited. So it's uncomfortable. So you're supposed to...
You mean for the ayahuasca ceremony?
Yes. So in order to... basically what I'm trying to get to is, aside from a diet as clean as possible, fruit, which now I see a lot of contradictions as well, since apparently you just need to eat clean at least for 24 hours. Definitely no animal products. People feel pain, so instead of being in the vision, or concentrating in your experience and healing things, it's healing or maybe going against the chemistry of the animals and whatever other things like alcohol, so or coffee or chocolate. So a light diet is very recommended, and the longer you do it, the deeper you can go into yourself, and so it doesn't clean your digestion, it goes deeper. And so when people fast and then you hear something like, since I was not eating since breakfast, what was it that left my body? Where did it come from? So that was the first time that I heard that, and I was wondering, what could it be? And then with the Master Fast, all the the mucus and the plaque coming out. And I realized, oh, that must have been what they were talking about. Because I did hear it was black. So aside from that, so anyway, I ended up excitedly telling Eugene about this. And a week before I went to the ceremony, and then our connection started becoming stronger in terms of more active, more communication, and man, I feel like I'm forgetting something that I wanted to say, so I'll just keep going with something else. So basically, what happened was during that ceremony, I heard a lot of people saying, yeah, I need to do it in the jungle. And I thought, well, I would do it in the jungle, but spirit, guide me. If I'm to do it in the jungle, then I won't do it by myself. I mean, I won't like go on my own decision because I don't feel the desire or the need. So you take care of it. And I was so excited that I told my mother about this, which she was worried, but, and also not to mention, you may have noticed it from one of the previous posts about when I mentioned about my mother coming and the self-sabotage. There was a lot of control being given to my mother. She also had her own problems growing up, otherwise she wouldn't have behaved the way she did. There's a lot of healing happening on both ends right now between us, but she was really controlling, and I basically realized that I did not even see myself as part of the stage of people that is happening. Like I was invisible to myself. So I would say it was due to narcissistic behavior, but I don't want to put words or anything, but just to be more elaborate if possible. So yeah, so this was also a very big step for me to tell my family, look at what I'm doing. It's helping me, but it's not what you guys would want. But I was so excited because I wanted to share this. I ended up seeing what she was feeling just like in the ceremony, which led me to call her and talk to her about this. I thought she was very, I thought she was just deliberately trying to control me, to manipulate, which I think she does unconsciously, or she did. And I completely closed the door on her a month before the ceremony, saying, don't, she went back to Israel, and I was saying, please, like, I do not want to speak with you at all. Like, and she wanted to come. She just couldn't find her balance and went back and forth between the two countries. And in the ceremony, I felt her pain. For a while, I could tell what it was. I felt if I was with someone, they couldn't give me the help I needed. So I went alone. But being alone was like being in an infinite hole, and it was the worst feeling I've ever felt, I think. It was just incredibly painful. And after a while, I realized it subsided as soon as I realized, oh my God, that's her pain that I'm feeling. And I had to speak with her because I realized that I was not being very kind to her.
Was this in the ceremony or was this on your fast?
Sorry, I keep jumping. This was in the ceremony, which was in 2014. No, 2013. No, it was 2013, my first ceremony, yes. And in 2013 was when I started to get back in touch with Eugene. And he ended up leading me to Oh my God, I feel like I'm jumping. Hold on a second. Finding the rope. So I was seeing the experience from my mom. I ended up calling her and speaking to her, telling my family about my experience, and they did notice a change. But it's funny, you know, oh, you've matured, you definitely matured. Yeah, something did change, but please don't ever do that again. And so, but I said, okay, whether I'll do it again, I don't know, but I'm not going to lie to you about it, and I'm not going to promise you, because it created a very big change within me. I ended up becoming a tad more self-aware, I suppose. And that experience ended up leading to, I communicated with my mom about this, and I wanted her to try it as well, because she has thyroid issues. So I met someone at the ceremony who lived in Lima, the capital of Peru, for 8 months before, and also traveled a bit. So she knew some contacts in the jungle to do it. And I thought, okay, that would be very good. It would be some good connection time. And let's go to the jungle with my mother and some other people from that group. And so that was spirit telling me to go to the jungle. I ended up, how did it go? Right before the date, very soon, it was the time to book the tickets, which was April 2014. My mother said that she couldn't stop taking her antidepressant medication. So I thought, okay, I do not want to risk anything, but I feel like now, you know, I've seen this happen in many, maybe not many, but a few examples from other people where things happen in a sort of way that they say, okay, just because of reason A, I am going to do this. And then when they're convinced that they're going to do this, spirit takes away reason A, and now they're still doing it. So that's what happened in my journey, I feel. That I just needed to go anyway, and she couldn't come. So within the ceremonies there, I think that was better, because I think she would have been still very controlling. And I feel that there's a tendency to, in my case at least, before helping myself, I start seeing me helping other people, and whether they need the help or not. But then I realize it's a reflection. I need to help myself first about this. So it was good. It was good. I went to the jungle. It ended up being just 3 people in total. The friend that organized it, another friend, and myself. And because it was such a short amount of time, which sometimes is overwhelming because you don't get a lot of time to assimilate what you're experiencing. But I suppose it's the best that a Westerner, or in that case, Northerner, because you're going south to South America, that's the best that one can do, because we don't have a lot of time or a lot of resources, or at least it's a belief that we buy into. So I ended up experiencing a lot, seeing just how much other people influence me and how much I let that be the case, and how much where I was living in Hamilton at the time was depressing me. I don't know if Hamilton is depressing on its own to everybody, but it has a beautiful place to walk. I always went on the escarpment, and it's just nature, like just a long piece of nature in the middle of the city. And it was kind of like my retreat. But still, it was quite depressing to me. I think maybe it was just a reflection of what was inside of me, because for a long time I negated that I was depressed, at least just to keep going. Because if I would say, yes, I'm depressed, then what's left to do? So I just kept going, and wow, I would say it was quite awful. So in the ceremonies, I ended up in one of them. It was a full moon, which makes it a lot more powerful. I was seeing my mother dying, which later I learned, when you see somebody dying in a ceremony, it means that you love them. Oh my God, this is like so sensitive. So I'll just kidding. So like she was, my friends were telling me I was screaming, and I wasn't used to the idea yet, because the first retreat in Canada or in the States, it was not made in a very, I don't know how to say good or bad, like it wasn't good. I mean, it seems the person was not an experienced shaman, and yet they called themselves that. And there was a lot of chaos. So I didn't know what were the rules, and I wasn't told that. So I didn't know you were supposed to be quiet and internalize these things. So I was screaming, and they were telling me, no, it's like, it's showing you your biggest fear. It's not real, but it felt so real, because my mom always had, I wouldn't say always, but on the occasions that, always, every time she dreamed about something, a person in particular that died in her lifetime, who was very close to her, that same day she finds out that someone died, that is a family friend of ours. And even across the Atlantic Ocean, my brother and sister stayed in Israel. So my mom, it seems that she felt when things were going wrong with my sister, from that distance. And which led me to believe ayahuasca always makes you believe what it wants you to confront. Like, for example, death. Some people have had, I heard a story of someone who felt the symptoms of a heart attack, where their left arm goes numb, and then they ended up pooping themselves, and they were just paralyzed. So all the symptoms that need to convince the person that they're dying to let go, and to accept it. So anyway, so because of this history, I believe that I'm feeling through ayahuasca and through the full moon, I'm feeling that she is dying, and I was convinced about this. And I was yelling, and my friends told me, no, it's just her showing you, Mother Ayahuasca showing you that you just something that you need to overcome. And I didn't believe it at the time. And I felt like, oh no, I'm feeling her dying. Oh no, she's dead. Like, it felt like that deep. And I believed it at the time. And then I felt like it wasn't, like, it was just emptiness. Like she died, but I did not, like, it felt like something, like it wasn't the good, it was the bad that was dying, like this emptiness, like sort of like, I don't want to say a demon, but just like this, just negativity died. And I thought, how could it be possible? I don't know how else to describe it. It just felt so so negative, and I felt like but it still hurt very much. And then she, or usually up to that point, it was how many ceremonies? 4 ceremonies in total since the very first time until that one. That was the 5th. And every time there was closure before the morning, because it's done at night. So in this morning, I still had this weight. It did not resolve itself, and I was feeling, oh no, what's going on? And I realized, and I wanted to call, I couldn't bring myself to call her. I had the opportunity. Eventually I realized, and one very important thing that I have to note is that the feeling I was feeling within the ceremony was, it's my fault. She's dying because she can't reach me in the jungle. I do not have a phone. And she's not able to contact me, and it, sorry. So in the morning I realized, well, whether she's dead or not, it doesn't matter, because that happens. It will happen eventually if she isn't, and it's something that happens anyway with everybody. What I needed to realize was that her death is not my fault. If she is dying because I'm away and she can't reach me, it's because she is doing it to herself. And I can't live by her hurting herself because of what I'm doing. And I still got worried, what if? So I ended up calling my partner at the time, who was in Hamilton, in Canada. I couldn't bring myself to call and I ended up getting a phone lent to me. And I asked him I left phone numbers, and I asked him, can you please call my sister and ask if my mother's dead? And then, because I was like even thinking about, oh no, like if she's living alone, like it's gonna stink, like when are they gonna find her body? And then, oh my God, sorry.
Where's your mother living?
Right now she's in Israel. She's, I'm gonna get to this, but I'm going to visit. And okay, I'm gonna like do a bit of a spoiler. They saw photos of me in the present moment, and after a long time of not being able to gain weight very easily, they saw like I'm cheeky and everything, and I couldn't help myself. So I told my mother and my sister, this was after 45 days of fasting, and now they're interested. So I'm hoping to, well, I'll bring some of the tinctures that I have, and if they're interested, I can guide them a bit. And oh my God, I need to wipe my nose. Okay, this for now. So anyway, yeah, so this is exciting because there's a lot more connection now, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like this looks so counterintuitive from so many perspectives to fast. It's like you need to lose weight to gain weight, in my case, and distance yourself people in order to get closer to people. And it was a difference. But anyway, back to the story earlier. So I ended up calling my partner at the time. I told him to call my sister, and he said, no, like if something would have happened, she would have called me. And I said, yeah, you're right. You're so right. It would have been obvious. Like she has work. They would have asked about her. Yeah, everything is fine. And I realized, okay, it's probably, she's alive. Okay. But still, I felt like so empty. Like I look at photos of the jungle and that day, photos on that day, I was just kind of like, it just felt so I don't know, very, very an emptiness. But it was good. And I came back after that, and that's when the fun stories begin. So I came back, and obviously, I think it's just everyone is like this, or everyone that tries something that works so well. They just talk about it to everybody. Oh my God, this is the greatest. Everyone should try this. And, you know, trying to convince people and not realizing, like, this is part of the path, not realizing that everyone has their own path. You can't, who are you to say that someone else needs to do something? So, bless you. What was I saying? I came back to Canada, and things started opening up, and I immediately told my mother about this experience as soon as I could. I mean, I could have in Lima, but I mean, in Canada, I had to settle.
The ritual?
Yeah, the experience. Everyone knew in my family that, except my father, which I'll get to later, I suppose, maybe. So everyone knew that I was doing this, and then I spoke to my mother about this, told her all the details, and she said, "Oh my God, of course. Like, that explains things, because your whole life I told you, if something were to happen to you, I would die." And I told her, "Oh my God, words have weight." And, you know, like, when I didn't see that, I didn't see the effect of these things until, like, I saw some things, not everything, but the things that I needed to see within ayahuasca. It's like, a way to describe it is like, you're the camera here, but in ceremony, the camera is taken away from your body, and then you can see this rock that you're carrying. And then you realize, oh my God, why am I carrying this? But you understand it. It shows you why, how it came to be that you're carrying this. So then it shows you. A lot of people end up not doing the work that is necessary, but they end up just drinking and drinking, because you have to confront yourself in order to make change. So, but basically it just shows you. The only thing it does is it shows you something, and then you can choose to act upon it or not. So then you can take off this rock. But, like, a lot of people see this rock as part of them. Who am I without this? Like, sometimes change is so difficult. But anyway, so I saw that I got rid of what I could, and I ended up, during that time, very magical things started to happen. I ended up visiting a lot more often Eugene and his family. Got to know his brother and Joe, his brother's wife, and their mother as well, that did, she had a flotation tank business, which was amazing. It was just the best. I was so depressed in Hamilton. I felt so alone, because I was also with a partner who was also depressed and had his very tremendous psychological experiences as well, which included being in psychosis for a period of time. And I guess I couldn't tell what was worse, that time or having come to Canada, because upon coming to Canada, I had incredible anxiety. So I guess that's quite relevant to my story. I ended up having a lot of that. I suppose that's where the depression ended up flowering from, because before then everything was great, it seemed. And Anyway, so I couldn't tell what was worse. It was just anyway. I feel like I'm gonna get into too many details. I am staying on course. So in the end, after being depressed, and I realized just slowly, like coming back, I felt better. I actually felt a lot better after that experience. And I even experimented with some natural legal psychedelics that are acquirable. And I had this one experience where I was so great, but my partner at the time was not. It was like we're not flowing on the same wave. And I realized that, or I don't know, realized the experience was that I was not helped. And it felt like there was a tremendous disconnect that created this. I mean, it was just really depressing because he was not compassionate due to his own reasons. I mean, like at the time you think, oh my God, everyone is such an asshole. But like as you go through the processes, you realize, like, poor person, they went through something as well. But still, I realized, thanks to him, I realized that I needed to give myself more love, because it was only when he would smoke marijuana that actually brought him to connect. But that was the thing that caused him to have the psychosis in the first place, because he would abuse it. So, but anyway, not so much about him. I'll be more on topic. After coming back, I started noticing all these things that make me unhappy within that environment. I realized that I'm escaping at any moment I could to Toronto, to my friends, because I ended up moving for work. And I realized I needed, that was the beginning of me deciding to do things for myself, to actually start to invest in my own well-being. And I ended up slowly realizing, with the friend that ended up staying, who brought me and others or the other friend to the jungle, she ended up staying. I came back, and she showed me pictures of where she was staying at the time in Cusco, the Cusco region. And I fell in love with the place. It's just so beautiful. And I felt like this is my home. I knew it in my heart. And I realized I couldn't even work anymore. I felt that like this, like something is changing inside of me that I cannot control it. I cannot do anything. I need to go. That was the only thing that was ringing in my head. So, and I realized at the time that I was also not working. I was freelancing, and I realized I'm telling everyone, yeah, I'm looking for work. And I realized, well, you're just sitting at the computer. I mean, I was creating my portfolio, trying new things, but I realized, why am I lying to myself? I mean, if I'm feeling pressure by others, I can just say whatever. At the time, I was quite pressured by my father, so I did tell him I was looking for work. But then I realized, why am I doing this? I have enough to enjoy myself for a while. So I actually took the time. It was a really big gift. So I ended up just enjoying. It was the summer of 2014, in northern summer, because here it's the other side. So I realized, yeah, like don't just have fun. And things just started to flower within. I realized, yeah, I'm like, I had this idea because at the time I was still convinced that it could work, because I did not want to throw away a person with whom I thought I resonated, which not entirely. And I ended up, I remember, sorry, where am I? It's just, there's so much that I'm remembering, and I have a hard time telling a long story. Okay, I'll get to the first thing that I can grasp on. Magical things started to happen. At the time, I was following Muji, which was amazing. Finally, only after ayahuasca, I started to understand him. Because at first it just didn't click. I thought, what is he talking about? Okay, like, and I didn't quite listen to his videos, but afterwards it got more interesting, and I could actually put the things together. And within ayahuasca, more so, I could see that the concepts that I'm giving things are preventing me from seeing them for what they are. So then I realized, and I thought, yeah, I want to do that thing that everyone there is doing, like to be one with spirit. And then I realized, oh my God, like Alex, just it's so exhausting. Just let it go. And after so long of trying, and I let go, and that's when things started to click. And I just said, I'm just gonna give it up to spirit. Like I don't know, I don't know this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll just give it up. And things started to work. I realized very quickly that I am giving, while I was eating a plant-based diet at the time, which I began due to my depression. I visited my family in Israel, and I came back from there feeling even more depressed. It was April of 2013. So I realized that I needed just something, I suppose. And I started eating. I ended up finding a self-help book that mentioned the vegetarian diet, and I thought, well, why go halfway? Why not cut out all animal products? So I did that, and that also, I thought, like, oh my God, I'm doing this incredible thing. And I tell my partner, and his friend tells him that it's now, because, I'm just saying vegan because, like, it's the quickest way to say it, like it wasn't for that title or anything. And because of, concepts now, like, that's why God or spirit or one creation, the universe, in some religions does not have a name, because if you name me, you negate all the possibilities that I could be. So and everything is like this. As soon as you give something a title, then you see it as just that. Or at least in my case, and in many other people's cases. So there was a lot of confrontation and a lot of very like headbutting. And I understand why. Why would someone who, why would he listen to his friend instead of, which he said, oh, now she's a vegan, she's going to be militant. And I'm like, oh my God, not only am I in Hamilton away from my friends, like I'm now even further from my partner. So in the end, that was why I'm saying this now, is as soon as I let things go, which was the summer of 2014, I remember this one occasion where we were in a restaurant where I noticed that his friend, who was just more compassionate than him towards me, and in general, I suppose, because my partner was making a joke about like pushing food, I think fish, into my mouth, but not doing it. And I'm thinking, before I would have been like, oh, ha, ha, okay. And at that moment, because I started to be honest with myself, with letting go. And I realized, no, this is not, I felt the reaction that I would have done, but I thought, no, this is not honesty. And I just reacted differently in a way that I think he noticed. Because then a week after that, or even less than a week, I realized I don't want to be with him. And I thought, okay, well, I don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't want to, especially because of his emotional past with the psychosis, or I don't know, I felt responsible. So I decided, okay, he's going to go his way. I'm going to go to Peru. I was already decided that I'm going to go. And before then I thought, okay, I'll do it like all the Slavic families that I know, except instead of the husband, like the wife goes. You know how the father goes to the new country, sets himself up, and then brings the family. So I thought I would do that. And I thought, there's no way he'll say no to this. This place is just like, I felt it, but he didn't, which is okay. And so then I remember talking to my mother on the phone, making this official, and she's like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, like, still being in the relationship. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I guess I'll just wait until that happens. Like, because that was when I told him, but I thought, okay, if we're going to be apart, he's definitely I knew him at that time, and I knew that it was not, the way he was behaving was not beneficial to my well-being, and I did not need to depend upon him for my well-being. So, and the way he's behaving, very likely he'll find somebody, and that will be the end of it. And I was very happy about this. I was very at peace. But still, I did not want to wait until then. And the next day he comes to me because he saw the change. He felt the change. And he comes to me and he says, we need to break up. And I was just so happy. And it's just incredible. As soon as you go with spirit, things work in your favor. So, yeah, I ended up... and I guess just to add to this, since I mentioned going vegan or plant-based, I tried to go raw, but I think I did not wrap my head around it very well, or maybe I just was not ready. I don't know, because when it did work, it worked on its own. Like I tried again in Peru over a year ago, and it didn't work. But then in last September, it just happened on its own. I just started eating, and instead of trying to figure out, like, what am I supposed to eat? Oh, a bit of this and this for that, like protein or whatever, and kale. But then it just happened on its own in I think it was September, October of last year. So anyway, going back to that experience in Canada, shortly thereafter, I ended up meeting again, or reuniting. Actually, it was more like that person came into my life before that breakup, and I did not think anything special of it. But then, after a series of events, and including the breakup, and I ended up meeting with him. I just remember that he was into also spiritual things, ayahuasca. And then we get together, we seem to click. It just flow with it. And I was at the time saying, okay, you know what? Like, I'm sure my ex will find like I don't know how many girls he may be with, but I foresee like maybe 2 years of being single. Like I actually felt so good. And when you feel good, that's when you find someone. And that's when we click with that person. And you know what? Like, oh my God, I'm going to Peru. and he's saying, I also always wanted to go there. So we end up going together. But that after also a roller coaster of irrelevant things to this, I think, interview. The interesting thing was when we were afraid, because it's a big change. What about money? What about it? Like, it's a different country, different language. Everything is different. What do we do? Universe, please guide me. And it showed me. I just personally asked Universe to guide me, and I was visiting him in Guelph at the time. That partner, and so everyone says hi to each other apparently there, like even strangers. It's like a small town, it seems, the attitude. So I see someone, like I just say good morning, and they say and I forget what in Spanish. I think ¿Cómo estás? And I'm like, no, okay, Universe. Okay, I answer bien in something, I forget, and which means how are you? Good. But then I think, okay, Universe, if this is your sign, it's not strong enough. I'm not buying it. I need something stronger, because like, what could it be? And so then I ask again, make it something obvious. And we go to the library. We're looking at tickets in the internet there, and I just go aside and I don't even know what section I'm in. Then I see it's the food section. But before I even see that, I ask, Universe, I'm gonna take out a book, and that book will tell me what I need to do. And like, you have no idea how crazy this is, because I take out a book and it's Tomato Land. I'm in like the food section, gardening and cooking and food. And okay, I look at it and I'm like, okay, special numbers, pages, and I'm reading nothing. Okay, I go back to the computer, I sit down and I'm like, yeah, look, I tried to do this and like it just didn't seem to work. Like maybe what numbers, what pages, and then okay, there's nothing. So then I kind of look at, okay, let's see what it's about. So like, the summaries that are inside the sleeve, like when you open it. So I start reading it, one paragraph. Okay, so Tomato Land, about the slavery, the current day slavery in the US, and like how there's no organic tomatoes, or I mean there are, but just how the tomato is flavorless. And in the next paragraph it says, the tomato is native to Peru. Like, how crazy is that? So that was, I think, my first big interaction with what I would say being connected with the Akashic records, where we know everything. So of course, I would be guided to the book. I know what's in it. So I take it out. And anyway, I think that's my explanation, but just everything just works. So I end up going to Peru. At that time, I think, what are we going to do with my ex about, we had a house together that we were living in. Should we rent it? And my mother ended up coming to okay, she's agreeing to be property manager. And that's just her emotional need to be close to me and like maybe do me favors. I don't know. So she ends up coming over, and it was just a nightmare. Nobody wanted me to go to Peru. My brother, a person is, when someone follows their heart, then when other people tell them that they're going to follow their heart, they're going to agree. Yeah, do that. As ridiculous as it sounds, if you're not harming yourself or others, you know, like that's a good idea. So he agreed, but the rest of my family didn't. And they thought, oh no, you're gonna do ayahuasca again. And I'm like, I don't know. I just need to go. And yeah, it was just ridiculous. Just oh my God. I realized very evidently that there was a lot of power that was still like you know that story of the elephant that is tied by a rope and he won't pull the rope because when he was a baby, he was conditioned to think like the rope is too strong, but then he grew, but he doesn't know it. So that was me. At that time I'm I think 24, and I'm still giving all this power to my mother, and I feel like it's just I can't relax. It was just insane. It was really difficult because it was not just her natural like her energy, I suppose, like this like and which I suppose you could see in my behavior if I'm like a little like like rushing, and I don't know, I must have self-sabotaged in coming here because anyway, so then where was I? I'm sorry. Yes, I learned about how I'm giving away a lot of my own power. And to cut things short, that partner at that time, the one with whom I would go to Peru, he went earlier than me. Then I joined, and we ended up selling the house. My mom came back to Israel, and I couldn't tell my father about this because of that fear of, you know, the power that I gave to people. Instead of being honest, instead of saying the truth and just standing my ground, I couldn't face him. I ended up, because it was so chaotic, I ended up actually just going and escaping to Eugene's house, which we had just a beautiful experience. It was just the relaxation. I realized, like, these are people with whom I can spend time not saying anything and not expecting or being expected to say anything. So I could just be myself and they can be themselves and we can just do whatever. And it was the most wonderful experience at that time. It was so beautiful. And at that time, the south area, like Toronto, Hamilton, did not have snow, but they did. And I just remember, despite the snow outside, I felt so warm, like emotionally, inside as well. Just everything was so beautiful. And so that weekend, my sister ended up telling my father about this, and he said, I ended up already moving all my stuff to his place. Not a lot, but basically it was so beautiful because it was like a purge, like kind of like Masterfest. You just get rid of things you don't need. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't even want to sell any of the furniture. I don't even want to split any of it. Like, ex-boyfriend, take everything. And it was just so nice, and it was the first time I think in my life that I felt actually really light, because I just came with like a big, like, you know, those hiking backpacks that are really long. I just came with that to Peru. But backtrack a bit, my father is asking me, why, where are you going exactly? And I said, moving temporarily to my friends until I find a new place, like what I told him earlier. And then he says, your sister's telling me you're going to Peru. Yeah. And I ended up quickly visiting him before going. I realized I ended up, like, you know, this, when you start following your heart, things start working magically, because I didn't ever think, I actually did not believe that he loved me, because he was very distant. Like, wow, I didn't even mention him until this point in the interview. Yeah, so I realized, like, oh my God, what am I doing? I never even realized that there's like a connection, because he was really sad. Like, I could see it. So that was an experience. And realized, oh my goodness, wow. Anyway, you get the point. Like, when you follow your heart, it's just, you break through, as painful as it is to break through things, you break through them and they work in your favor. So I went to Peru, and like, you know what, until I, like, another spoiler, I'm gonna split with that, the guy with whom I went to Peru with, but until I marry my husband, my father kept asking me, so when are you getting tired of Peru? When are you coming back? And I realized, like, he was missing me, and goodness, like, I had no idea that like, there was so much of him that I did not know emotionally. And he ended up visiting right around the time that I started eating raw normally, like at the end of last year, and I realized, wow, like, he's actually quite a cool person to spend time with. Like, he's like, it's not that bad. And even my husband, who was terrified, because, you know, it's like the father-in-law, and we married relatively very quickly because of paperwork reasons, and because of this, there wasn't time to really plan something with family abroad. So he never met him up to this point. But anyway, they even click really well. And anyway, so back to the story. I come to Peru, and after about a month or two, or a month and a half, and I at that moment, again, after being with my mom so closely, I realized I need time away. And I kind of, this time I really, like, I still feel the manipulation in whatever, whether it's her consciously doing it or not. That's right now not the point. I need to do me. So I just, it was a relief. It was like a vacation. And being in Peru with some money saved and the selling of the house made me so, like, I realized I'm so uptight. No, not I am. I'm not going to identify with it. I had such uptight tendencies about everything that I needed to make 70 safety nets to feel comfortable in Peru or in any change. And so it was really relaxing to have that, along with the fact that, because it's supposedly a third world country, I didn't even know until people told me, why are you moving to a third world country? Oh, it is? Because people seem to be living okay here. Like, those in the city are okay. Those in the jungle, the natives, are okay. I mean, there is that, the meeting place is a bit rough, not a bit, it's very rough, because the people who flourish in the jungle are, you know, I don't know if you're aware about the change, how whenever that happens, they see, oh, progress, oh, those things, let's move into that, and they have a warped idea of what money is, and it's just there's a lot of corruption, and because they're not familiar with healthy progress, maybe because they never met healthy progress. You know, it's like a fractal. How they treat you is how you treat others, or how you begin being. Like, I'm going to step aside for a moment by saying that, interestingly, the slaves that, I think it was the black slaves that were brought to Australia, because they were treated as slaves. When they came and saw the natives in Australia, they enslaved them. So you see, like, that's what I mean by the fractal nature. Like, you can see that, like, in companies and families, it just goes down. Copies. One copies the other. So because of this, oh my God, I just lost the thread. I'm trying to remember again. I'm in Peru, and anyway, I'm relaxing. Oh yeah, the natives. Anyway, so it's a nice place. It's not as third worldly. Like, it's nothing like that. I mean, some places do not have electricity, but people live okay. Like there's a community not far from where I live in the mountains, and like their houses are stones, just stones piled up, and I'm forgetting English now. So much Spanish that I'm speaking here. Paja. What is paja? Anybody? Oh my God. I'm going to remember this. It's the yellow leaves that you put on top of a roof for a roof. Mm-hmm. Like, they're long. What horse eats? Hay? Hay roofs, I think. That's the word, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, so that's it. Sorry. So basically, people live okay here. And I end up getting a bit of pressure. Oh yeah, thatch. Thank you, Connie. So I end up coming, or where am I? I'm in the first place. There was a lot of moving still, and about a month and a half in, I'm not making any contact with my mother because I'm doing me. And my sister, in one call that I make to my sister, she tells me, I don't know exactly what you did, but I feel really good about this. You moved something within me. And I thought, oh my goodness, like, this is probably what, like, I heard about this before. Like, as soon as you, like, this was the most obvious moment for me to see consciously, that when you take care of yourself and follow your heart, other people around you end up falling into happy places, or into, like, things work out for them as well. Because I remember at the time I was really wanting to help everybody, especially family, because my mother was suffering. Like, although it was painful to be with her, I really wanted her to be well. And I was seeing how she's self-punishing for certain things in the past and choosing negative things. So I always wanted to help her, and it reflected in everything. I ended up wanting to help everybody. And I remember Eugene even saying this, like, if you're drowning, or if not even drowning, like two people in the sea, you do not convince the other person that there's land over there. Go to the land, you go to the land, and then you can come with the boat saying there's land. So yeah, that was very helpful to see the actual proof of that like, actually there's changes, positive changes happening around me. And I felt it. My sister sounded quite happy within her. And so anyway, I'm in Peru, and I eat, as soon as I come here, the diet is, I notice already, anything we eat, I don't know if it's my digestion, or probably the energy, maybe making everything more sensitive. And I feel every time I eat wheat, anything with bread, I end up pooping very mucousy. Like, I've never pooped before. It's yellow and it's fuzzy. And then, so I cut out wheat eventually. But initially it's hard to go out because there's, it's not Toronto with, like, vegan options everywhere. So I end up kind of, like, the emotion I end up trying things here and there. Vegetarian for a while. After a long time, I decide that I need to, because I felt the difference. I felt how heavy and uncomfortable I was eating eggs and drinking, or not drinking milk, but like taking dairy. It was just, it's just not the same. And then I end up, after a series of events, like honestly, like, you know what, when people come here, it's seriously so much crazy stuff. Everyone I met, not everyone I met, but a lot of people, including the friend who is lending me his face to do this interview, they report that it was spirit who brought them here. And I only believe this because I felt this. And I mean, now it's more and more, it's deeper. Like, there's just so many experiences. It's impossible to negate. And so anyway, I end up, after several times moving and being with that, like, I thought that was a great partner for me, because I thought, oh my God, like, that's life. Like, it brought us together, and this is like, it must be my soulmate, but it didn't feel good because he was an alcoholic. I ended up finding out. And it was just a fight every day. So I realized I wasn't happy. And the only time I realized that was when he ended up going back to Canada to do some work, because he just happened to find an opportunity, but they wouldn't let him freelance from afar. It was very corporate. So he went away, and just at that moment, he was there for a few days at the new place. We ended up moving from hostel to hostel, family hostel, and then to this place, which was basically some locals who said, yeah, you can just camp at this land for free. And I thought, okay, because it's hard to find a nice place, because it's not the same, like living in a hostel. There's a lot of people, and I guess it just depends on different people. I think I would have stayed okay in the first one for a while, but I was pulled by him, and I thought, oh no, like, I felt like, emotionally, I felt I'm alone here. At least here we're together with someone that we can, like, a team is easier. So I just followed him. Though he did say, if you want, you can stay here, but I have to go, because he's really energetically sensitive. And but I also think that it was, I don't know if it was a bit exaggerated, because it could have been done anyway. That's not the point. So we ended up I ended up staying in this place, which was basically a tent inside of an old kitchen. The old construction here is adobe huts with ceramic tiles. And in the old ways that people still have it here, a lot of people just their kitchen is just ground, like dirt. And often that's where they raise their guinea pigs, in the same place. They just run around in the kitchen, and they grow them there and they eat them. That's a typical food here. But there were no guinea pigs. It was just an empty place, and they thought, okay, I think maybe they just wanted someone to maintain the place and clean it. I don't know. So I lived there, and it had no shower. It had no internet. It only had a gas, like 2 gas elements, like not even an oven, but just like a liftable 2 elements. And you know what? As soon as he left and I was there, I felt, like, finally I can breathe. I'm in a place where I feel really good. And it was just marvelous. So anyway, I realized, okay, I'm not gonna get rid of him. Like, I felt like I feel better without him than with him. But I'm not gonna just, it's a person, you know, you can't treat people like they're objects, like just, oh, I don't feel like it anymore. Okay, done. So I thought, okay, I'm consciously feeling this now. When he returns, I'm going to consciously compare it and then make a decision. And in the meantime, I met the person who is now my husband. Things just went, it was like, wow. Like I asked the universe, I was starting to do gratitudes, and I gave 10 gratitudes about that person. And I noticed every time I did the 10 gratitudes about something, like within 3 days, 2 or 3 days, a beautiful result came out. Because I think like it puts you in a space of like higher vibration when you're grateful for things. And at the time, I was also doing 10 gratitudes for anything daily. And I was, you know what, being in this place, it had no shower, but it had a bathroom, and I was away from everybody. I had basically nothing like normal society person. I don't know what normal is, but you know, like what our culture, where we come from the city, would say is normal. And my family is asking me, whenever I go into town and go on the internet, they ask me, do you even have electricity? Which I did. And it was just so beautiful because I was just free. I had so little, but I was free. And of course, that's when, you know, when you feel like you don't need anything. And all my life, I felt like I was really dependent upon or wanting a partner with whom I resonated. And like at that moment, I really, really, really did not want anything. I thought, okay, you know what, I'm good. I know sufficient Spanish. I can like find my way. Like I'll just rent something in the town. I didn't even think of staying in that village because it's so beautiful, and I'm still living in it. It's like the most beautiful place. And so, yeah, I think I don't want to speak too much about this. I feel like there's just so many details, but I want to get into the fast. So to keep it short, so I ended up finding out about the fast. I moved in with him eventually. I realized that we resonated so well. It was the craziest, like, you know what, this is when I hear about spirit unions or something like that, I forget titles for those things at the moment. But I think I heard like a spiritual union or something. And I feel that because we help each other grow so much. And it's just, I've never experienced this ever in my life, this connection with anybody. While he is not too happy about me fasting because it brings up certain memories about illness within his family, which he is finding it tough to, I guess, to make peace with. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for him. I don't know. Because, you know, what you see may be different from what is inside. So, but it was extremely supportive when I started fasting. I ended up finding out about the fast from Eugene, and I'm saying Eugene, but it's the three of them. It's like one entity now. I always speak with them in a group. So what was I saying?
About
August.
the fast, yeah. You found it?
Yes, August. So, oh my God, a year ago. Happy birthday to knowing about this. So, and I started, and you know what? As soon as I started, like Facebook was like a whatever thing, but I started noticing as soon as somebody posted MP or experiences, and actually, like I was, what's that? Let's see. and actually start like really subscribing and like following, and everything was like, it was just obvious. And then that's when my father was coming to visit very soon, and I was rushing to find out, oh no, and I didn't want to ask like the questions, you know, where you ask something obvious, and then you say, just read it on the page, it's on the page. And I'm rushing and I'm trying to figure it out on time, so I know enough ingredients, like how much to bring from Canada, how much to order, so that it comes on time from Amazon, which is quick, but then on time from you as well, so it comes to him, and then he brought all the ingredients, and I was so excited, but then I forget what happened. I think I do not remember what was. Oh no, I was educating myself. At that time, I decided, okay, January, I think, or February. And when I felt ready, I was about to start. And I don't remember there were other things, I think. But basically, the main reason was to educate myself sufficiently that I feel comfortable with the fast. Now I have the ingredients. Now just watch videos, read up, feel comfortable. And so then I make the mistake of telling my mother about this, which I don't think is a mistake. It's just all growing and learning. Like, one thing I actually want to say is, since then until now, I remember feeling like as if whenever, to be honest, I felt so like when you would reply to people on the group, I thought that it was so strict, like just do it, just fast, you know. And it is that easy. I mean, it's just in our head whether we choose to or not. But now I realize, like, everyone really does have their own path. Like, it's okay, you know what? Like, just do it. Like, you are the guiding stone. Like, just do it. Just, you know, it's like, if you're not going to write the goal, at least we have Gino reminding us that what the goal is. Which I did. Every time I rewrote the goals, it worked beautifully. One thing, okay, I'm gonna get to that. So I tell Mom about it. She comes, and then she magically forgets that I told her about the fast, but she sees how well I eat. Even like at that time, I was eating mostly raw, like some on vapor. That's in Spanish, al vapor. Steamed. Thank you. So, like, basically that was the diet, and I realized I was being strict with her as well. But like, seeing and being annoying, like, I felt that all the annoyingness that she put on me is now coming back to her, and I'm not proud of this, but I mean, like, it's just, you know, like, when you're aware, you can see how these things work, and now with less judgment. I don't know if it's without judgment, but with less than before. And I was saying, well, you know, like, if you're going to eat the potatoes, like, that's what's, like, that's glue you're eating. And I was such an asshole. But in telling her, you see, I am so healthy and so happy, and like, everything is so beautiful. Thank you, Mom, for showing me, because she also was careful about, although she had the thyroid issue, which led me to see, like, all the medicine that she's taking is not having a positive effect on her. And sorry, 1 second. Oh, do you need to sleep? Oh yes, it's long. I'm sorry. Could I go to the? Sorry. Could I go to the? Oh, you need the PC. Okay. Oh goodness. Oh, how much longer? How much longer does this normally take?
We usually do about 2 hours, but sometimes it goes longer. We're at 2 hours now.
I wish I could share more, but it seems I'm going to. Is it possible? I'm going to try to install it on my phone. This was not working earlier. Because my friend needs to sleep, and I am at his kindness of even being able to do this interview. So I'm going to see if this works. Okay, I think. Okay, I'm going. Could you please? I have the ability to communicate with you via Facebook in the least. Right now, I'm going to install Zoom on my phone.
I don't know how we're going to do it through Facebook. This is...
No. I mean, I'm going to install Zoom on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Is that possible? I'm really sorry about this.
Yeah, cool. Do what you have to do, and if we lose you, we'll end it.
Okay. Then, because I still wanted to answer some people's questions. Okay, so I will... okay, if there's a will, there's a way. I'll do this. Okay, thank you so much. And I will do what I can to get back.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, am I hearing something?
Okay, record.
Patience. Going to, where are we? My mother was here.
You're cutting out.
Sorry?
You're cutting
Hello?
out. Hello.
Is it better perhaps without a video?
Yeah, you can try cutting your video and see if that makes it better. I don't know.
Okay. How about now? Is that better?
We can hear you. Keep going, and I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay, so I was telling you about, oh, Connie says seems to be, it's better. Okay. So I was with, my mother is basically, she visited, and there was a lot of healing going on. I used something that's called nonviolent communication in order to communicate better with her, which basically it's without pointing any fingers, just saying what you feel, what you need, and actually like asking questions deeply to understand. So I realized that the miscommunication that we had resulted from different definitions. She had different definitions for things than I did, or what I thought was the definition for everything. I mean, was the official definition. And anyway, so after she left, I did not tell her. Me being so still that elephant with the rope, I did not tell her that I'm going to fast. I thought, okay, she magically forgot. Maybe subconsciously she's allowing this to happen, or she just doesn't want to know. Maybe it's just an ego thing of what kind of mother I am. I don't know if she would allow me to fast. Anyway, I ended up starting basically immediately after she left, a few days after she left, which was last March. And I was aiming at 108. And so to say what really affected me during the fast, which ended up being 45 days, I realized that I had lazy tendencies where I would put off things. But with the fast, it's not good to put off things, because then who knows how much time you may have afterwards. Or if you need to do an enema now, you don't want to be cleaning it beforehand. And it's just something that I've been noticing throughout my whole life. I mean, not noticing it, but at that moment I realized, yes, I do seem, it eventually led to the moment of realizing when you, oh, Rana is asking me to put the video again. Okay, let's see. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay. Okay, is that good? Are you guys okay?
So
Okay.
far?
Ron is nodding. Okay. So,
No, you're
so
gonna
I
have to
started.
turn your video off.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off then. Sorry, guys. I wish I could do this. Oh, crap. What did I press? Okay, I haven't had a phone in 2 years when I was in Peru, and I recently got a smartphone, so I'm still learning how to use this. So I'm going to, okay, I think, yes. No, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I'm turning off video now. There you go. Okay,
All
much
right.
easier. Okay, so thank you everyone for your patience. So I realized I have lazy tendencies, and the way I summarized it is why am I buying time to do either nothing or to relax more right now? I'm paying for that time by the time that I'm going to need to do it later. And maybe anyway, I just learned that I need to put the effort in things and do them when they come. Because especially with the fast, it's about health, and it may be dangerous when one does not do it correctly. So it was a lot more dedication. You're right, Gino. On so many levels, does one heal or learn or see themselves within the fast? And then I also realized that there was something else that I noticed. Oh, my impatience. My favorite thing that I loved was eating the pudding. So I did not notice, or I chose not to notice, I don't know, that you could have the pudding first. So I just, actually, wait, I remember. I went by your example, your schedule example at the very bottom. So I had tea with tinctures before I had the pudding. And I was incredibly, incredibly impatient that half hour of waiting. And I would look at the time, and it was just, honestly, I love the pudding. I think it wasn't like, I felt energized and everything was good. You don't need to eat anything, but I think it was that emotion of chewing on something. It
Yeah.
was just, and it was really, really fun. And actually, I'll take advantage of this topic to ask you. I recently actually noticed that now you're saying or on the website it says to grind it, to have it in powder. I was having it always in whole form, entire. Is there a reason?
It doesn't matter. If you want to grind it, some people want it finer. Some people, they don't like the texture. So if you grind it to a powder, it's smoother.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So with this in mind, I realized, like, okay, now is the time to learn to be patient. And I started putting more effort in, okay, just let go, just completely forget about it. And it seemed to work with just forgetting about it and then getting back to it after, or putting an alarm clock. But I really, really, like, holy moly, was I impatient to have it. And some things that I noticed that were incredible, like I had no idea that it would happen just on 45 days. My nails began to shine like midway or on the third week. All my nails, on my toes, on my hands. And I noticed that my on the thumbs, because all of them are really bendy, they're still quite thin. But actually my pinky and thumb are noticeably stronger. So I suppose if I keep going, I'm just gonna strengthen all of them.
Less is
Another
more.
Yeah, so I'm just excited because now like I'm seeing the progress. It's not just like a one-off fast. It was a fast. I fell from grace, or so it felt. It was not pleasant, and now I'm back on it. So looking at the nails, um, what was I going to say? Oh, another thing. My eyes have cleared a little bit. It's not something that anybody could notice, but my husband noticed, and a good friend of mine noticed as well.
You mean your
Um,
iris?
yes, my iris. It
Mhm.
became, it did lighten up, and I'm seeing more blue on the edges. I
Mhm.
always thought I had, and like growing up, I always thought I had brown eyes, but when the iris went little, you could see the green around it. And now it's just there's quite a lot. I mean, there's still a lot of brown in the center, but you can see the blue, like the dark blue. Um, and yeah, it was. Oh, something I noticed. Okay, so I went. My birthday was last Monday, which was a starting point for me to. I promised myself, yes, at this moment, after so much binge eating, I decided to start the fast again, to do the mini with 1 week on, 1 week off, or however it will work. And so, what I noticed in that experience is two things. When you put a bit of effort, for example, climbing up the mountain, I was accompanied by Peruvians, my husband and his friend, and they were more used to the altitude, I suppose. And even though I'm here for 2.5 or almost 3 years, it's still a difference. Um, and they walk a lot faster. And then I realized just put a bit more effort and I could do this. And that was on very little food at the time. So I'm comparing it with the fast as well. I'm seeing I don't need, and remembering with the fast, there's always energy within you to do this. So I put the extra effort, and I it wasn't initially, it was at the end of the trip that I noticed this, and I was applying this, and you can always find the extra effort from the inside. Like just put a bit more, and you know what you're gonna gain? You're gonna gain pride, confidence, and later muscle. Um, so, and also when we went up to the top, uh, where we decided to put our campsite, I wanted to rest, and I decided, no, don't rest. Start, because that might make it, in my belief system, um, I feel it harder to get back to things if I'm already resting. So I decided, no, let's start being active with something. Okay. It did not resonate to build the tent, so I started collecting rocks, and I'm tired. We're at the top of the mountain. We just climbed it. No, but the sun is going down, and we need to make our campsite.
This is
So
when
Monday,
that just passed.
yeah, full moon. What a gift. So I began even before the other guys started doing anything. Um, I just mustered my forces and went and collected rocks, and they're heavy. Like I collected as heavy as I could just so we have something stable. Then my husband brought really heavy rocks. So anyway, we armed our stone oven because it's quite dry and we didn't want it to cause a fire. So we covered the fire with stones and made a stone oven.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. Oh my God, it was the most amazing experience. But and it was so introspective. It was like I was fasting again, but it wasn't as light in feeling comparing to what I'm feeling at the moment. I did a 3-day fast, dry fast, starting from our last breakfast. We ate on Tuesday. Actually, yeah, Tuesday would be the first day. So we ate on Tuesday breakfast, and then we went down. And I decided, okay, from this point on, I'm going to fast. I don't know for how long. And I thought, because I was so used to, because I had those ups and downs, roller coaster, I thought, okay, I'm gonna have my fast maybe 24 hours. So I didn't worry about eating or drinking the champagne or MFS bubbly. So I ended up not beginning with it or an enema, and I finished with it and an enema, and things came out like the same black stuff. So I will go into now. The other thing I wanted to mention was I had knee pain. I banged my knees in Canada some years ago, and the pain was ongoing. Whenever it was cold, I could feel it. And after the fast, it seemed to be a lot less painful. And in here, even though it's warmer generally, it still gets really cold, especially if you're up in the mountains, especially where we were. And it wasn't quite in the peak, but it was still quite cold. And right now we're coming out of winter. Or we're still in winter, but it's getting warmer. So I realized, okay, I have priorities. I need warmth. So I'm going to crouch by the fire. And I know that I'm going to have pain in my knees afterwards. But I didn't. And I sat cross-legged as well for a while. And I still felt okay. This was an incredible surprise to me because I did not expect it. I remember a Zoom meeting months ago where you said to someone that it takes, or maybe it was a live call. I think it was a live with Q&A, where you said that someone said that they did a 40-day fast, and you said do at least 60 in order to get results from arthritis.
Yeah, most people, they need about 60 to 90 days. Depends how long, the age, to get rid of most of their pains. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, so I'm definitely aiming at least for 60, which didn't work, but it was, you know what, it was so cold, and I realized like there's so many, like I see it as excuses, and I because of that fast, I saw so many parts of myself coming up, like how much self-judgment I have, and therefore how much judgment I have towards others. Like, for example, when my mother was here and I was saying, well, you know what, like you could eat this better, or you shouldn't be eating this without compassion. And also my husband told me this. I realized very soon after the fast that like actually it was the second week, and I was so excited because I have a close relationship with plant ceremonies, plant medicines. And one that is very widely used here is San Pedro. It's a cactus that they cook it, and you can either have it in powder with the cactus fiber, or you can reduce it with just the liquid. And I ended up it's similar somewhat to ayahuasca, but it's a lot less intense, and it's very visual. Actually, ayahuasca as well, but it grounds you a lot more strongly, I feel. Ayahuasca sends you into other dimensions, like other entities, space, and San Pedro is here and now, and you're in, like, you really connect to nature. So I ended up taking that, and within it I realized I could have a choice. I could, now that I'm after the fast, I could keep going with this, or let's see, like I can always get back to eating mucus free. But my friend just made some things like a tortilla or some flatbread. She fried some flatbread and had yogurt. And I thought, okay, well, how about what happens if I agree to this and actually eat it? And I did feel that energy exchange. But that opened the door. Well, it did open the door to me wanting to make peace with food. I thought I was making peace, but recently I discovered that I'm still judgmental. But anyway, so I tried of everything, like even meat. It wasn't immediate, but I thought, okay, I'll have one of each, and then I'll get back to normal. Just if I can eat it, then I can make peace with it, and I'm not going to be an asshole to other people, because I feel like I really had a negative relationship. And I realized to make peace, I suppose you do not even need to eat those things, but for some reason, I went into this path, and I feel now that I was a lot of emotions came up, and I was missing eating with people. I was already eating plant-based, which is not what most people eat here. There's not a lot of options where I live. I mean, I can take a bus to some places, to Cusco or to another town, and it's never the same as eating at home, but it's the experience, and it's exactly the same, everything that everyone has posted on the group. And I realized this was, along with being harsh with myself about finishing it at 45 days, I thought I was, I hated myself, I think. I was really angry with myself that I finished it at only 45 days. And without realizing, like, holy moly, so many people are struggling to even get to a week. And I'm by being a jerk to myself, I'm also being a jerk to them. Because, like, if I'm unhappy with 45 days, then, like, what, how can I react to other people's journeys? And I realize that I'm just, anyway. And it came from an upbringing of I was told a lot to be perfect, as in, I just remembered, for example, to get the best grades. So for me, it wasn't even the experience, it wasn't even the learning, it was just, which actually it was, I did enjoy learning, but it was just to be perfect. So as soon as, like, for example, when I came to Canada and I didn't know French, but everyone was already studying it since 3rd grade, I realized that it was shattering my identity of being someone who can do it well. So this again shattered my identity of, I identified with being someone who can do it right the first time. And it was very painful. It was basically just, you do end up releasing who you are, who you think you are. At least in my experience, that's how it seemed. And I was talking about after the fast. So this experience led me to see that I was not helping myself, because then I started binging and I started eating more. And now actually I realized, I don't know if it's because I'm able to absorb nutrients or absorb better. I mean, I did gain, like, weight in pretty quickly, probably because of all the fatty things that I've been eating, but my cheeks regained. I did not have this while eating, like, the regular diet with extra fat, because I was extra skinny. Effort from family. I had these cheeks that I have now. I did not have them since 2007 when I visited Israel, where my sister basically fed me until like I was forcing food in order to gain weight. And then I went back to regular life when I came to Canada, and I couldn't, it was so time consuming to cook and cook and cook and make food just to gain weight. So I just went back to normal, and I lost those cheeks. So I felt a lot of pressure from family that it was my fault, as if it was my fault that I can't gain weight, that I'm not eating enough. And I'm thinking, well, that's how, it's like that quote, supposedly by Einstein, that if you craziness, I think, yeah, craziness is, or insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. So, like, that's the explanation I tell my family now. Of course, I'm not going to gain weight. If you guys see that I'm not gaining weight by eating a lot, then how is it going to help? So, the fast did help tremendously. So I gained.
You know, a lot of people, most of it's inflammation.
Sorry?
When you see people gaining quickly after these fasts, it's a lot of it's inflammation from the wrong foods.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, well, in that case, I am getting back to eating healthier.
That's the norm out there, right? Everybody inflamed. That's what people are looking for. So when they see people are thinner, it's not normal, and we get judged.
Oh, yeah. In that case, yes.
So through your fast, you experienced nice shiny nails, and your knee pain went away. That's
Yes.
is that it? Is what you experienced through the fast?
It was the biggest two things that I noticed. Yes.
Did you release any?
Sorry?
Did you release any waste through those 45 days?
Oh, any weight. Oh, I released a lot of weight. I actually, we ended up doing a photo shoot of just my skeletal body with my husband, because it was interesting to see my tailbone sticking out, and like you could see the details of my waist, the pelvis. And I actually did not end up weighing myself because I did not want to be distracted by numbers. And I actually also don't have a scale. I suppose.
I was saying waste and not weight. I don't really care about weight because everybody
Oh.
uses weight. I was asking about waste.
Oh, did I release waste?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Every single day. You know what? I felt blessed. I felt like, you know what? It wasn't very difficult to fast for me. And I thanked the universe tremendously. Um, it was just as soon as I went back, or I did a 2 and something, 2+ dry fast days before going into the master fast. And the first day, obviously, I don't remember something coming out, but, or maybe it did. I don't remember. But basically, as soon as I went in, probably on the third day or fourth day, yeah, on the fourth day, I started releasing. And it was every single day a bowl full of mucoid plaque, just black, and all in the shape of, like, it's just a rope with, like, you know all the pictures, but a rope with balls, and it was obvious that it was in the shape of my intestines. Like, the longest one that I released was really obvious, because when I pulled it up and just to see it and take photos, there's like a corner that kept maintaining itself, like it was a bend. Obviously, it was just stuck in the shape of my intestine. And one time it got stuck in my bum, and I tried to pull it out with toilet paper, and as I pulled it out, it ripped, and I felt the texture. It's so gummy. And when I looked at it, it was hollow inside, and it was just like, it was rubber. And the whole time it smelled like sewage. I remember before starting the master fast, I did do, actually before my mother's visit, I managed to do like 3.5 days of dry fast. And then I did not actually wait, I think that was with when I got the enema. And so I did the enema, and it released mucoid plaque, and that was before the pudding. So obviously it's not pudding. And
Did you have any health issues going into this, or what was the reason for doing the fast?
general well-being. My excuse for telling everybody, because everyone hung up on this, especially here as well in Peru, and especially where I live, it seems fat is the norm. And I suppose perhaps because it gives people, I don't know, maybe it's because of the cold or because everyone's a farmer and they need strength, but I see that you can have muscle and not have fat and still be able to do heavy work.
Yeah,
But
do they do a lot of deep fried in Peru?
some deep fried. The diet here is potatoes, rice, uh, mostly over, like if there's vegetables, they're really like overcooked and they're not tasty. So of course people don't have a fun relationship with veggies here. But sometimes they do eat some veggies, but it's just mostly you see eggs, and lots of bread and milk, pasta, rice. So basically, a lot of things that do not have.
What?
Hello? Someone has their microphone on. Anyway, so a diet that does not include things that give nutrients is just like, to me it seems after I started doing this, I realized a nice example of putting this is if you're using the energy of your body and like your organs are working to digest, you have to pay them at the end of the day with nutrients. Otherwise, they're going to be they're not going to get their nourishment, and then they can't keep doing what they're doing. So, and people here, they just I don't know, I feel like perhaps I'm still being really judgmental. And I'm working on this, because last week my husband told me again that I am, or the past week, that I am still being judgmental. So all of that binge eating or all of that making peace was for nothing. Oh no, a fly just entered by my throat. Oh no, I'm fasting. What is that gonna do?
Are you all right?
I swallowed it. I hope that's not gonna be dangerous, Gino. A fly just entered my throat and I swallowed it.
Yeah, lots of protein.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah. We're getting up to 3 hours. It's like we usually do 2 hours. It's long for people to watch after.
I'm sorry.
You want to wrap up your experience, and then we'll call it.
Okay, I wanted to talk about social pressures, because somebody asked me about this, and the binge eating. I'm just going to be as succinct as possible. I'm really sorry. Like, I always have a hard time telling long stories, so it seems to be really time consuming. So I ended up overcoming the binge eating as soon as I realized with myself I couldn't accept it for a long time. So as soon as I finally accepted it, a month after breaking the fast, I finally let go and realized, okay, I do have a binge eating problem. I'm addicted to food. I'm looking for emotional help, and it wasn't something that could be covered by food. I ended up sitting with it, learning how to sit with it, and not judge it, not look at it and say like, oh, okay, now you do this, now you do that. Just sit with it and experience it. And I found that was the best thing to break from binge eating again. Just when you feel that you want to eat, but you just ate and you feel your stomach is full, because I got to the experience of being bloated, and I don't remember being bloated when I was thin. maybe because nothing absorbed or nothing worked. I don't know. Or maybe I was not aware of being bloated, and now I am. So now when I just sit with it and I recognize it, I got to the point, like not even like being judgmental, because I thought, no, sit with it in order to get rid of it. So now I actually got to the point of recognizing that when my emotion, I have a lot of anxiety to work with. And when I sit with it, I felt that my heart was beating really fast when my emotions wanted me to eat. Whereas when I'm just hungry, my heart is not beating fast. And that was an awakening. And so anyway, one thing that I also found that really helped was saying, only do it once. You know, you don't have to start fasting again or eating healthy, but just this once, have a day or have a breakfast or something that is beneficial to your well-being. And it worked, because then I could use that as an anchor. I could say, well, I did it once, so I can do it again. And I think that was one of the biggest helps that I found within this experience. About managing social pressures, my husband, even though he did not want me to fast, he was extremely supportive. I was quite annoyed when people said that, oh no, you're fasting, especially family. I feel like that's something that I'm still working on, because it really, it seems to get on my nerves when someone says, no, like, I enjoy your well-being, but please don't do what makes you feel good. That's how I'm perceiving it, and I realize that's not it. But anyway, so this is still something that I'm managing. The good thing is that after seeing me having gained weight, my family from Israel is extremely supportive now, and they're asking me how to fast. And I link them to the website. And I think I'll bring some tinctures as well. Yeah, so.
Well, yeah. The issue is that people get into these binge eating situations after a long fast. It's very dangerous, especially after a long fast, because the body's in a very sensitive state. It's got into the first phase of metamorphosis, what we call, and you have to. The body's got to go through the second phase to rebuild. There's a lot of, what do we want to call? Raw tissue, we can call, very, very sensitive, because it's the body's now ready to build when we start eating. And when you introduce foods that are not correct, that's where you get all this inflammation, and people start blowing up, and they gain weight quickly after these long fasts. So this is not what we're after. We're after clean, minimal eating. This is a lifestyle to pursue for people who choose this lifestyle. It's not something we can do just one time off and figure we're going to solve all our problems. This, like we say, we get into these long fasts. It's a good start to a healthy lifestyle. It's a start, and we need to focus on allowing ourselves to fall in love with fasting, make it part of our lives, so we can control and minimize as the years go by, eating less and less and less. Because as we remove the obstructions, the V equals P formula from Arnold Ehret, less is more, comes into effect more and more so as we clean the obstructions from our body. And the body will need less and less food, and you'll be able to thrive more and more as with less. If we introduce foods that are causing obstructions again, eventually, it'll take most people maybe 1 to 2 years. They'll be back to where they were or worse from when they started the fast. It doesn't take too long because of the memory. It happens pretty quick when we go back to the old foods. So,
Yeah.
it has to be a lifestyle choice to go into the realm of health and well-being and balance. It's not for everybody. This is what we say, mass fast, not for everybody. But massive changes happen even in 45 days. Even we say 40 days minimum. That's a good start to get some cleaning through the GI tract. But as we've seen, 108 days, you cannot clean the GI tract from for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of living. Not the best.
Yeah.
But it's all learning curve for all of us. This is where we suggest people get into the mini fast options after a long fast, not go back to ever eating 6-7 days a week. It's just too much. 5-6 days a week at the tops, eating 1-2 meals a day. That's tops to start off.
Yeah.
This
Yeah, it was
eating
very
7 days a
painful.
week is ludicrous. Sorry?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just saying it was very painful. Like there was a lot of inflammation, and actually would like to, if this can help anybody, I would like to say that please do not try, or if you're able to, do not think that you're going to solve any problems by eating the old food, because I thought I would be less judgmental, and I'm still judgmental. And it seems that it was not necessary, because there's a lot of pain, self-pain, and also self-hate that was generated from this. And I was very angry with myself for a long time, until I recognized it and started to actually do something about it. And then actually last week, I finally figured, like, it was the moment that I thought, okay, that's it. My birthday is going to be, I'm going to make it a time of real reflection, and going to start fasting again. And it was a conversation that I had. I realized that I was binge eating in order to show how negative or how bad this eating is. I guess I was still not giving. I still am working on having my own power, because I was giving it away to other people around me, family, to choose for me whether I can fast or not, because my husband he does not want me to go on another long fast in a while, because it took a toll on him emotionally. So I am wondering, I would like to fast again, long again, but I realize maybe I don't need to do that. I'll start with the mini fast and integrate that into my life. And as soon as I spoke to him about it, as soon as he pointed that out as well, he noticed it. And I realized his side of things as well, that I could still go on with this lifestyle without going straight into a big long fast. And in any case, I would like to have a full set of tinctures. Now I have less than a full set to do 108 days. So perhaps just use them up. And the next time, as soon as they're up, I'm going to order more tinctures, or maybe even go to Canada, because you can't send liquids to Peru, unfortunately. So yeah, I am in the process of realizing that I give away a lot of power still, and it's a big step for me to actually even say it out loud, because it seems I feel shame in this. And how am I at this age still giving away the power? But speaking to him helped me realize that, or actually not even realize, it just happened on its own. It just went away, the binging. It was so obviously emotional, and it became so much easier. I'm now eating so little. Like when I am following, like I have good days, and now actually it seems to be ongoing for quite a while.
I'm eating so little, and I do not need to eat the same amounts of food. So I end up realizing that I buy from memory what I would eat, but I end up eating a lot less. So
Yeah, that happens. The eyes are bigger than the appetite. But yeah, the
yeah,
emotion is how most people are eating. Their stomach's full and they still continue to eat. What are you feeding you? It's not physical. Your physical body doesn't need all that. It's
yeah,
something
I know.
that we're trying to numb ourselves. That we're not comfortable with having that clear path to the soul. I like to say, because once you clean out those obstructions, the connection to soul is much clearer.
Yeah, yeah,
A lot of us aren't comfortable with it because most people in society around us don't have that. And when they're around us, they see that their soul can see that. They're not seeing it on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level. And that's what triggers them making comments about our weights and this and that. Meanwhile, we're actually glowing when you look at people on fast. So most of the people are glowing unless they're
yeah,
in your situation.
yeah. Yesterday or the day before, when I was on my third day of dry fasting, my mother-in-law, she actually stopped. Like, this was unusual for her. She stopped and she said, "Hold on a second. Something's different about you." And I'm like, "Oh no, she's gonna notice that I'm fasting or something." Wow, you look really like she said something positive about my appearance. Like, and it was like a shock, like, wow. And
Mm-hmm.
I decided, me being the cheeky person, I suppose that I am, I said, "Well, this is after, see what a 3-day fast can do?" And she said, "Oh no, don't fast." So this is the example, and I was so annoyed. I realized this is my problem. It's not her. But I, like, why is it that, like, when you do something that's so good for you, why is everyone against it?
This is the challenge so many people have. And we just want to, fast and eat clean food. And people, well, they'll put parents in jail for feeding their kids raw foods. Meanwhile, you can feed them all the McDonald's you want and bring them to the hospital and have them chemoed, and that's okay. It's an upside down world we live in, if you haven't noticed. So, this is where fasting is the best done on your own in solitude.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I feel that I would much prefer to do it like this. But one thing I realized after the fast was, everything we do, we choose. There is nothing that is not a choice. Even those chance meetings, even those accidents, everything is a choice. Because when you put a goal on something and you actually desire that, then everything around you manifests to create that. And it goes back to one creation. Like, the will of God is our will, when it's the inner will, not the ego. And I realized that I cannot tell other people to fast or not to fast. I cannot judge other people for eating. And then I realized that I was so judgmental, and this was an experience for me because I was so ashamed. All the things that I judged other people, and then I started binge eating, and I thought that I was a person under control. I had this identity of myself, and then I am eating too much. It was just, yeah, I realized that I needed compassion for myself and thus for others. How
Yeah.
can you, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, this is, why I really gave up, trying to convince people. That's why we have this board and this private club. People are ready, they come. And this is what we're here to support. If you're not ready, there's no reason for you to be here. This is what we do. Anything outside of there, it's no use talking about it. They're not ready, most people. If somebody generally is curious, ask questions, I'll start giving them some answers and direct them to the page, because this is where we do it, inside the private club.
Yeah.
Outside, it's I've done that in the past, and it's in the past. So we're at the 3-hour mark. If you want to wrap up something you want to share, and we'll call it a close, because it's just too long for people to watch 3 hours.
Yes, I'm sorry about this. I actually feel a bit embarrassed.
No, it's okay. We've done a few of them. It's just some people message me. It's just too long for them to watch.
Okay.
So
well,
we put the mark at 2 hours. So this to wrap up what you want to share, and we'll give it a close for tonight.
Okay. Well, I hope my experience. The only reason that I said yes to this was to hope that I can help someone inspire as much as I have received when I first came to this group. Honestly, there's so much support that I feel here, and I really hope that this can benefit as much as it benefited me when I saw other people's experiences and read about them. So thank you tremendously, everyone. Thank you, Gino, and thank you, Rana.
You're welcome.
And all the moderators. Just like sometimes, like I felt a little of a recluse lately, and I was amazed at how like I couldn't do social media for a little bit. Now I feel like I'm getting back into it, and you guys are amazing. Like how you are on top of all the posts, and Connie is just I have no idea. You guys are insane. So thank you so much.
No,
you are beautiful, and Sid as well. Yes. Hi, Sid. Oh man, and Artie. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up because I feel like I'm taking up more time, and I just really want to say big, enormous thanks from the bottom of my heart, because I'm seeing tremendous help that I feel ayahuasca is not something that I can do anymore in the same way, because it's like in another state of mind, but this is like ayahuasca being implemented daily, and like not, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's like the effects.
Yeah, people go to these plants and then they're off the plant and it goes away. So that's not the end. You need to go within, and the easiest way is for most people is to clean up the physical obstructions, and we can connect. This is some people can do it full of obstructions, but I find it's rare. It's easier to do it when you clean the physical obstructions to connect within. But anyway, so you're on a mini fast now, and what are you planning on doing?
At the moment, I'm honestly just playing it by ear. I realized that setting the goal, what you were saying is so spot on. Just set the goal. A lot of the times it's just leaving it to the universe. A lot of the times I thought I could control it, and then I binged again. So I realized just let it go. Just set it and let it go. And that helped a lot. So I'm not really putting any restrictions. Love you too, Rana. Someone, I think Sid said to put a link to ayahuasca. I suppose I'll post stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll answer your question. It was, what was it?
I lost my thought as well. Your mini. Yeah, what are you doing?
Plans.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I'm doing week on, week off.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah. I also kind of want to, like, I would feel very sad to finish all the tinctures very quickly. So I think and it's also a good opportunity, because the first week off the 45 days was really good. So I think I can do a week and being careful about this. And I feel like it gives a lot more responsibility, because then, like, the closer it is to the fast, during the fast, you do not want to screw it up, because it can be quite dangerous. So I really enjoy that responsibility. So
It's excellent doing these minis because you keep eating fasting, eating fasting, eating fasting. It trains you to break fast properly. And along, we should the dry fast should never be leaving you because those are your resets every week and every month.
Yeah.
Change, yeah.
Honestly, it felt so much easier now to dry fast after 45 days. I could have gone longer, but I was in a situation that needed, or maybe it's my belief. I'll still see. I'll keep going and I'll see where it goes. Um, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you
And
for. Sorry.
sorry?
No, I was going to thank you for sharing, inspiring people to and resonate with people. This is why we like doing these calls so people can get a feel of how other people are experiencing it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I am insanely, immensely grateful to all of you and everything that I'm experiencing now, because it's like one thing I wanted to say is that I feel like the fast was something I wanted to do my whole life and I didn't know it, like subconsciously, because I was always eating very little. I was already fasting normally when I was on my own 1 day a week. And I didn't call it anything. It's just that now it's different because it has a name and I'm doing it consciously. And it was also seeing the Master Fast as the group gave me a secure reason to do what I've always wanted to do subconsciously.
All right.
So
Awesome.
thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, everybody. We'll call it a close, and thank you so much again for sharing your time.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the page.
Bye-bye. Yeah, more questions on the page. See ya.
All right. Good night, everybody. Good morning, wherever you are. Bye.